And if you follow me on Facebook, you know that I broadcasted for 2.5 hours on Saturday after MSNBC called it for Joe Biden after more votes came in from Philadelphia. And I said Friday, when I broadcasted on my Friday night show, I said Joe Biden is going to win Pennsylvania. Okay. And I'm sitting back. I'm like, what's taking you all so long? And then I was watching it Friday night, and I said, look, Joe Biden is going to end up at 306 electoral college votes. He's at 279 right now. The Associated Press called Arizona for Joe Biden 2:50 a.m. Wednesday morning, November 4th. Okay, some outlets had not called it for him. He's going to win Arizona as well. So when the announcement came, first MSNBC and then all the other news outlets went on and called it. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. I told you Friday night was going to happen. I told you Thursday was going to happen. I told you Wednesday was going to happen. Okay. So then people poured out into the streets like a dictator had been overthrown. People poured out into the streets all over the country. They were in downtown Detroit. They were in Washington, D.C. They were out in Philadelphia. They were out in Atlanta. I can't say I blame them. Okay. I can't say I blame them. So I did a broadcast on Saturday, November 7th, right after about a half hour or so after the race had been called for Joe Biden. And we did 2.5 hours. So go watch that on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. And also on my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Shout out to everybody watching us on our social media platforms. Okay. We've got Brandon and we've got Bonita. All right. And then what I said was, okay, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have won. Now we have to hold them accountable. Now we have to hold them accountable just like any other politician. If you have some sense, it's not just single them out and hold them accountable. No, just like any other politician, hold them accountable for the promises that were made. All right. So then what I did was I went, because a lot of people were posting on social media. Well, what do we get? Blah, blah, blah. Well, if you watch the African History Network show, you would know this because we've been dealing with this since May 2020 when Joe Biden's 22-page agenda to empower Black America came out. I spent May through June of our Sunday night show breaking down one of the 6 parts. And then we went through it again a few weeks ago and spent 6 shows breaking it down once again. So what I did was in the 2.5 hour broadcast I did on Saturday, November 7th, I then went through again his 22-page agenda to empower Black America to break it down and show how his policies will benefit African Americans. His agenda came out May 4th, 2020. Pages 2 through 11 deal with economic empowerment. So so you can read it at joebiden.com/Black America, joebiden.com/Black America. Then read his economic plan, his Build Back Better plan that Moody's Investment said will create 18 million jobs and 7 million more jobs than Donald Trump's economic plan. So we have to hold them accountable. And I talked about the 2 key senatorial races that are coming up, a special election, runoff election, January 5th, 2021. January 5th, 2021. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do not take Madam Vice President. Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, MVP. Madam Vice President, they don't take the oath of office until noon, January 20th, 2020. Okay. And let me just say this. Donald Trump is not conceded yet. Who cares? He doesn't have to concede. He can stay at Mar-a-Lago, whatever golf course he wants to until noon, January 20th, 2020. Who cares? There's nothing in the U.S. Constitution stipulates that a challenger or an incumbent has to concede to defeat. So he was at his golf course in Virginia when the news broke. You can stay there. When he went back home, we posted an article on our Facebook fan page. When he went back home, people were booing him and calling him a loser, which he is. Okay, he's a loser, and a con man, and a fraud. I told you all this in 2016. It's nothing new. Okay. Presidency doesn't change who you are, it just reveals who you are. Uh-oh. Presidency doesn't change who you are, it just reveals who you are. Okay. So we're going to we'll talk some about this. We'll give some highlights. We saw that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did an address last night, and we're going to share some highlights of that, and then we'll share some highlights of remarks that were made, and then also Joe Biden said that he gave a special thanks to the African American community. And he said that you've always had my back and I'll have yours. You'll always have my back and I'll have yours. Okay. I'm surprised not more has been made about that, especially from all the cynics and people, just the jaw jacking, mouth talk, what I call them, the mouth poppers, popping off at the mouth. Surprised some of them haven't said more about it, but who gives? Who cares? There's a lot of them irrelevant, trying to stay relevant. But anyway, so we have to deal with the 2 Senate races, January 5th, 2020 in Georgia. This is for control of the U.S. Senate. This is for control of the U.S. Senate. Moscow Mitch McConnell won his reelection, and he's from Kentucky. If Republicans maintain control of the U.S. Senate, they can block a lot of the bills and initiatives that Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris want to do that have to pass through the legislative branch of government. Now, he'll probably be able to get more accomplished than President Obama could get passed through the Senate when Democrats lost control of the Senate, because you got 2 old white men talking to each other. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I said this on my show. I said this on my broadcast Saturday. They've known each other for years. They've been in the Senate for decades. You got 2 old white men, and Joe Biden could go talk that old white man talk. Okay. So still, now Mitch McConnell has already said that the moderate cabinet nominations that Joe Biden makes, he'll be more supportive of those, but more progressive nominations, those to the left, they'll block those. But we don't want to leave it up to Moscow Mitch. January 5th, 2020 in Georgia. Okay. And I was listening to, so for my Friday night show, because, we broadcast here on 910 AM Superstation, WFDF in Detroit, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight. Okay. There. And then we go over another hour on my social media platforms, because we never done only an hour. It's just too much information. Okay. And then Sundays, we're here 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm on 6 days a week. So Friday, when I was getting ready for my Friday night show, 11 p.m., I did Roland Martin Unfiltered Friday, November 6th, 6 p.m. I did his show because I'm a panelist on every Friday. And then I took a nap and was getting ready for my 11 o'clock show. And I was listening to Charlie Daniels, The Devil Went Down to Georgia. I'm just going to leave it right there. I could make a whole lot of jokes about that song, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, Charlie Daniels. I was listening to it. He was saying something else to me. I'll be 50 years old in June. I need to go get my hearing checked. It sounded like he was saying something else, but we ain't going to talk about that. But I have Georgia on my mind because Reverend Pastor Raphael Warnock is in a runoff election against sitting Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler in Georgia, January 5th, 2020. And then you have John Ossoff in a runoff election against sitting Republican Senator David Perdue. Stacey Abrams is already talking about this. Latasha Brown, the Black Voters Matter, are already talking about this, and galvanizing and organizing and mobilizing people once again to turn out. Because now I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, but I'm also not stupid. I study policies and I see whose policies are most beneficial for us and who keeps blocking those policies and who's trying to pass policies to do us harm. Okay. In general, if Democrats win these 2 Senate seats, it'll be a 50-50 tie in the Senate. 48 Republican, 48 Democrat, 2 independent, Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Angus King. They usually caucus with the Democrats. It'd be a 50-50 tie, and then it'd be 50 Republicans. It'd be 50-50 tie in the Senate. In the case of a 50-50 tie in the Senate, the tie-breaking vote goes to the vice president. That's Madam Vice President, the MVP, Kamala Harris. But not only that, when you have a 50-50 tie like that in the Senate, the control of the Senate goes to the party that's in control of the White House, which means Mitch McConnell will not be Senate Majority Leader because Republicans won't be in control. Which means, see, the way it is now, being that Republicans are in control of the Senate, and it's 53 Republicans to 47, basically Democrats. No bill can come to the Senate floor for debate or discussion or debate or a vote without approval by the Senate Majority Leader. Mitch McConnell controls the Senate. This is why they rammed through Amy Coney Barrett to get her approved to the U.S. Supreme Court. And then they and then right after they got her approved on the U.S. Supreme Court, Moscow Mitch McConnell let the U.S. Senate go on a recess until November 9th without passing a coronavirus bill, a coronavirus stimulus bill, okay, without passing the HEROES Act or a version of the HEROES Act that Democrats passed in May, $3.4 trillion bill that Democrats passed in the House of Representatives in May 2020. He let them go on a recess without passing the coronavirus bill. Now, the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate came out with their $500 billion skinny bill, but it's a joke. Democrats passed their bill in May 2020. You've been playing games with people's lives and haven't passed the bill, Moscow Mitch, Republicans in the Senate. Since May of 2020, 8 million Americans have slipped into poverty surrounding this coronavirus economy. So elections have consequences. In 2016, when Donald Trump asked African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? I told you then, the correct answer was everything. The correct answer was everything. And then as we see today, we've surpassed 10 million coronavirus cases, 239,000 deaths. We know about 20% of those deaths are African Americans. So this is real. So while people are out in the streets, and I understand celebrating, it's like a dictator being overthrown, we still got work to do. These 2 Senate races, January 5th, 2020 in Georgia, are critical. They are critical to being able to get these bills passed through the Senate. The Jobs and Justice Act 2020 from the Congressional Black Caucus that includes the George Floyd Police Injustice Act dealing with police reform. The bill that passed the House of Representatives, the Democrats passed in the House of Representatives in July 2019 to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour, which will lift 40 million people out of poverty, many of them African Americans. All this stuff, you got to get through the Senate. Democrats will maintain control of the House, but you have to get it passed through the Senate. Now, there's some things that Joe Biden can do without going through the legislative branch of government, like reversing the 192 executive orders that Donald Trump has signed. And he'll release more information about his first 100 days, what's going to be in that. But we've got to hold them accountable as well. All of our organizations, et cetera, have been mobilizing and pushing policies to pushing policies in the past and push policies to the Congressional Black Caucus. We've got to hold them accountable. But, you know, I was relieved when they called it for Joe Biden, Senator Kamala Harris. I knew it was coming. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, it got so bad that Joe Scarborough, former Republican who said he left the Republican Party, Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, they did a special Decision 2020, and they had Morning Joe, the Morning Joe cast on. And Joe Scarborough is sitting there. He's like, when y'all gonna call this in Pennsylvania for Joe Biden? Okay. So that's how bad it got. All right. So on tonight's show, and Jay, let me know how much time we have before the break. We're coming up here on the break here. So let's do this here. I want to welcome everybody to tonight's show. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. There's going to be a different show maybe than you've seen other places. We got a lot to cover. So we'll deal with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris winning. Kamala Harris is the first Black female vice president elected, first Asian, because Indians, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, are classified as Asians also. And so we'll talk some about that. November 3rd, 1874. Last Tuesday on my show, we dealt with this. November 3rd, 1874. In Eufaula, Alabama, there was a white mob attacking African Americans on Election Day, attacking them for voting. We're going to talk some more about this again since the election just took place. And then So we'll deal with that. We'll give an update on what's going on with coronavirus. And did you see Saturday Night Live? Dave Chappelle, his stand-up was insightful, but why did he have to use the N-word? And why did Saturday Night Live allow him to use the N-word? Because they did not allow him to use racial slurs for other ethnic groups that are historic with other ethnic groups. So why are we the only people who are not protected? Why are we the only people who can be disrespected? Well, you only protect what you respect. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. One commercial break. Stand by. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Also, if you like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Okay. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. And then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. How's everybody doing? Stand by. Be sure to go back and watch my show from. Be sure to go back and watch my show from Saturday, November 7th. Watch my Friday night show, November 6th. Saturday, November 7th. Watch that show. We did 2.5 hours, and I take you through, and I actually show you. We turned on the screen share. I actually show you Biden's plan to empower Black America's Lift Every Voice plan. We go through the whole 22 pages, everything from economic empowerment, home ownership, creating wealth, education, making college free for people who come from households that make $125,000 or less a year, 2-year, 4-year college go for free, relieving student loan debt. We take you through all that, environmental justice, everything. So this is what we hold them accountable to as we push for other policies through the administration. All right, where the heck did that go? Just a second. I gotta get ready. I'm coming back from break here. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, November 8th, 2020. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And then also follow 910 AM Superstation WFDF on their social media platform also. Okay, on Facebook. And we're broadcasting on their Facebook page as well. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Dave Chappelle. I did a post about that. Some people agree, some people did disagree. So some people, I had to educate them on this because we're the only people who can be disrespected. Dave Chappelle didn't use any negatives, any derogatory slurs for Jews, the LGBT community, Italians, anything like this. I like Dave Chappelle. His stand-up was insightful. But why did Saturday Night Live allow him to use the N-word multiple times? I just find that very interesting. Okay. All right. Thanks, Taylor, for the donation. $sign TheAHNShow through Cash App, and then paypal.me/TheAHNShow. Now, previously, back in, I think it was August, I was going back looking through some of my Facebook posts. We talked about how when Senator Kamala Harris was named as Joe Biden's running mate, how it was historic, but it was not the first time an African-American woman has ran for vice president. We're going to talk about Charlotta Bass, who ran for vice president before on the Communist Party ticket. Okay. And then we'll deal with the Eufaula, Alabama Election Day Massacre of 1874. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. We're going to have to do a separate show about sex. I'm just saying. I'm going to put my Michael Baisden on. I may have to bring. I know some experts. I may have to do like a separate show, not on 910. We may have to do like a separate show dealing with that. Okay. And much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. Runoko Rashidi, my friend Runoko Rashidi, scholar, historian, author, lecturer. You see me reference his book a lot. It's behind me. Black Star: The African Presence in Early Europe. He just sent me a message here on Facebook, and let's see. Okay, he has a 2-day course, November 27th through November 28th. The African Presence in Asia, a journey to the east. So Runoko is a brilliant historian. He's a world traveler. He's been to, I think it's 130 countries and islands around the world. He's taken over probably now over 40,000 photographs all around the world, and he documents the African presence. Okay. So when you hear me talk about the book Black Star, and it's right here. Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe, right? And we deal with the history of the Moors in Europe, and he shows you actual photographs he's taken from all throughout Europe where he's traveled, and he documents the Black Madonna and Child in Europe that was being worshipped in Europe by Europeans before the Moors even go in, things like this. That's Runoko Rashidi. Okay, so he has a book dealing with the African presence in early Asia, but he teaches online courses as well. So he has one coming up, Runoko Rashidi 2-day course, November 27th, November 28th, 2020, the African presence in Asia, a journey to the East. Join Dr. Runoko Rashidi for a 2-day Zoom course, Black Star, the African presence in Europe, a visual overview, Friday evening, October 30th, and Saturday morning, October 31st. Okay. Okay, they have 2 different dates here, but okay. So we'll post this information here. You can check it out, and I'm see if we can bring Runoko on maybe this week, or let's see, maybe on our Sunday night show. See if we can bring Runoko on for an interview as well. I've interviewed him a number of times in the past, but yeah, this brother's brilliant. Okay, Dr. Runoko Rashidi. Okay, we'll post that link there, and then also visit his website, drrunoko.com. RUNOKO, drrunoko.com. All right, let's continue here. All right. So 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. I'm going to go to this clip first, then we'll go to the phone lines. I want to go to this clip here. This is from Politico. Jaden, we're going to go to clip 1. These are highlights from Saturday, November 7th, 2020, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came out publicly and did an address as president-elect and Madam Vice President-elect. Let's go to this clip.
What a testament it is to Joe's character that he had the audacity to break one of the most substantial barriers that exist in our country and select a woman as his vice president. But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last. Because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities. And to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way. For 4 years, you marched and organized for equality and justice, for our lives, and for our planet. And then you voted. And you delivered a clear message. You chose hope and unity, decency, science, and yes, truth. You chose Joe Biden as the next president of the United States of America. America's democracy is not guaranteed. It is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. To guard it and never take it for granted. And protecting our democracy takes struggle. It takes sacrifice, but there is joy in it, and there is progress, because we, the people, have the power to build a better future.
The people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we, the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation. 74 million. For all those of you who voted for President Trump, I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself, but now let's give each other a chance. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States. I work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people, to win the confidence of all of you. We have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans. They're Americans. The Bible tells us to everything there is a season, a time to build, a time to reap, and a time to sow, and a time to heal. This is the time to heal in America. Our work begins with getting COVID under control. We cannot repair the economy, restore our vitality, or relish life's most precious moments, hugging our grandchildren, our children, our birthdays, weddings, graduations, all the moments that matter most to us until we get it under control. The African American community stood up again for me. And I'll have yours. I'll have the honor of serving with the fantastic Vice President you just heard from, Kamala Harris. Make history as the first woman, first black woman, the first woman from South Asian descent, the first daughter of an immigrant ever elected in this country. Don't tell me it's not possible in the United States. It's long overdue. Tonight, we're seeing all over this nation, all cities and all parts of the country, indeed across the world, an outpouring of joy, of hope, renewed faith in tomorrow, bring a better day. And I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you've placed in me. We stand at an inflection point. We have an opportunity to defeat despair, to build a nation of prosperity and purpose. We can do it. I know we can. I've long talked about the battle for the soul of America. We must restore the soul of America. Our nation is shaped by the constant battle between our better angels and our darkest impulses. And what presidents say in this battle matters. It's time for our better angels to prevail. Tonight, the whole world is watching America. And I believe at our best, America is a beacon for the globe. We will not lead. We will lead not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
All right. So those were highlights of the speeches Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris, Vice President-elect Joe Biden and Madam Vice President-elect Senator Kamala Harris gave on Saturday, November 7th. MSN.com had an article, and I want to go to this next clip I just emailed you, Jalen. Biden thanks black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have theirs. Now, you heard that little excerpt in the montage I just played, but I want to hone in on that. Let's go. I just sent you that article. Let's go to that particular clip. Go ahead, Jalen.
Proud of the campaign we built and ran. I'm proud of the coalition we put together. The broadest and most diverse coalition in history. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, progressives, moderates, conservatives, young, old, urban, suburban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I'm meaning, especially those moments, and especially those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African American community stood up again for me. Kept my back, and I'll help you.
All right. We'll talk a little bit about that after we go to the phone lines. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Then also Saturday, after I did a 2.5-hour broadcast, Roland Martin did an impromptu broadcast, episode of Roland Martin Unfiltered with Dr. Greg Carr, Attorney Monique Presley, and then Democratic strategist Reese Colbert. And I saw it airing, so I sent Roland a text and said, hey, I'm available to come on. So I was on there as well. So thousands, tens of thousands of people saw that. We have an excerpt from that as well. Oh, it was good. Oh, it was good. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to line one. Let's see who we have here. I think this is William. Hey, William, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for calling. Thanks for holding. Tell us who you're calling from.
Hey, I'm calling from Detroit.
Hey, William in Detroit. How you doing, man? Thanks for calling. Thanks for holding.
Good. Listen, first thing I want to say, congrats to my president, Biden, and my vice president, Kamala Harris. So that's what the first thing I want to say.
Right.
The second thing I want to say, all these folks talking about, oh, the election, they stole the election for us, they cheated, they did this and they did that, and we're going to win this. We're going to keep holding on and let the truth come out and show that Trump is our president. Let me say this, and I want you to lock this in. What I'm about to say.
All right.
Get over it. It's done. It's finished. Now the next thing I want to say, and I'll let you go because I know you got other callers.
Mm-hmm.
We as African Americans, look, we are going to have to get it together. Let's stop the killing. Let's stop all this oppression. Let's stop being victims of whatever you want to call it. Society. You
said let's stop the killing. Was that the first thing you said? Let's stop the killing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's stop killing. Let us stop killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let us stop victimizing one another. You know, let's do something. Let's do things for our culture, for our race. Let's define us much better and in a more positive light. Let's let things work for us. Let's stop being the laughing joke of the world. Let's stop this. I don't want to hear 4 or 5 years from now, oh, Joe Biden ain't did nothing for the black people, blah, blah, blah. You look, but he's a human being. He's not Houdini, okay? He can only do so much for us. We got to do for ourselves.
Well, there's a couple things here. The one, I would encourage everybody, I'm going to let you finish just a second here. I would encourage everybody to go to joebiden.com/Black America. joebiden.com/Black America. Read the 22-page agenda that he laid out to empower Black America that came out May 4th, 2020. Okay. And these part of his agenda is reversing the harmful policies of the Trump administration that have been very negative for African Americans. And then the other thing is we have to understand that we have to hold any administration accountable and work to get these policies pushed through the legislative branch of government, because 70% to 80% of what a president wants to do has to go through the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Okay, go ahead and finish your point.
Okay, one more thing that I think that's just as important as a president. What we should have really been concentrating on was getting more of our people in Congress and the Senate. Okay, because
we were focused on that too. We were focused on that too.
Yeah, multiple bodies is better than one body. You know, you can have look at what happened. Look at what happened when Obama first got in office.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch McConnell, he said it out public, and I don't know why a lot of us who fought Obama, we don't fault the Republicans. We don't fault Mitch McConnell. He said, I am not going to work with this man. He's going to be a one-term president. I don't care what. Instead of us saying, you know, the Republicans, they was our real enemy. That Mitch McConnell, he was our real enemy. We blaming Obama.
Right. Well, a lot of times, brother, yeah, I understand. So a lot of times, these are a lot of people who don't understand politics. Now, there were some legitimate criticisms of President Barack Obama, but a lot of what he was trying to do was blocked in the legislative branch of government. So what happened was in 2010, the 2010 midterm elections, that was in November, October 2010, Senator Mitch McConnell said that their number one goal was to make President Barack Obama one-term president. Democrats lost control of the U.S. House of Representatives during that midterm election, November 2010, because that's when you had the rise of the Tea Party, And Democrats were getting a lot of backlash for passing the Affordable Health Care Act that saved millions of white people's lives. Now, Democrats and Republicans, okay? So Democrats lose control of the House of Representatives. They cannot get bills passed through the House. And then also you're going to have about 84 Tea Party Republicans that unite, and that led to a government shutdown as well. Then in 2014, Democrats lost control of the U.S. Senate. And then basically all of then you couldn't get anything passed in the Senate, basically. And then all of President Obama's nominations to the federal bench got blocked. OK, so when Donald Trump became president through the Electoral College, there were 105 vacancies on the federal bench. One of those vacancies was in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, which also includes Chicago. And in 2016, President Obama nominated an African-American female judge named Myra Selby. Myra Selby's nomination to the federal bench was blocked by Senator Mitch McConnell and Republicans in the Senate. They did not even give her a hearing, just like they did not give Merrick Garland a hearing for the U.S. Supreme Court. When Donald Trump became president, they filled her Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals seat that she was nominated for, and they filled it with a woman named Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett then was nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court and was confirmed by the U.S. Supreme Court. They ran her through these Republicans in the Senate. So we have to understand 3 legislative branches of government: the executive branch, 3 branches of government: executive branch, legislative, and judicial. Go ahead through your last point, and I got to get to these other calls.
Okay, no, I'm just about finished. I'm finished, man. You know, get to the other calls, and like I said, I would love for the taller talk show host to, educate our people more on the politics. There are some people out here, man. They call in these radio stations. They say some of the most ignorant things I have ever heard in my life.
A lot of them are plants, brother. A lot of them are plants. But go ahead. A lot of them are plants, or they're repeating talking points they heard from black conservatives. I'm the wrong one to bring that nonsense to.
Yeah, this is not the time and the place to let people call in and let your voice be heard. Look, let me tell you something. If I'm a host down there and somebody keep calling in my station, and you know who they are, there's 2 people that I hear every night. They call in and say some of the stupidest things. Man, there's actually 3 of them. They are so against Democrats, and the radio talk shows, they just let them say what they want. They just give them a platform. Look,
right.
There are people out here misinformed who don't understand what's going on. And when you let idiots like this call in these radio stations, saying whatever they want, they talk about people, they call in people's names, and you just let them go on. I mean, you just guilty as they are.
Right. All right, man. I got to run. You got to get these other calls. Keep call back Monday night, man. I'm on 6 nights a week. Monday through Friday, I'm on 11 p.m. to 12 midnight, okay? We got to get these other calls, and I got a lot of other information to get to. All right, let's go to line 2. Who we have? Is this Ronald? Carl. Who we have? Line 2, whoever's on line 2. I think it's Carl.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Hey, man, how you
Michael
doing?
Imhotep. This is Charles calling from Detroit.
Charles. Okay. I thought I said Carl.
And, I
okay.
really appreciate your show.
Okay.
And the last caller, he brought out some very important points. I mean, we do more name calling, than we realize.
Right. Now let me. I'm gonna let you finish, but let me just say this. I'm gonna let you finish, but a lot of that negativity, brother, I don't have time to deal with that stuff. Go ahead and finish your point, but a lot of that negativity, I don't have time to deal with that.
Right. And see, before you know it, we're just as negative, and we saying things, name calling, the whole 9 yards, discrediting people in general who we don't like. But hey, if you don't like me, then I understand, because sometimes I don't like myself. Everybody have a day, you know, a second, a minute, or whatever.
Right.
But the point is, we have to be conscious of what we say and how we say about people in general. We got all these races of people. We got the gender. We got the animals, you know, birds, bees, the whole 9 yards. Life is beautiful. And when we think negative, I mean, this is my cliche. When we think negative, you know, negative things gonna be. And that ain't cool. We got to stay on the positive side, the strong side. You know?
Right,
and
right.
My question.
Okay. Go ahead with your question.
Brother Mike, quick. Okay, is how many? I mean, like, how long has it been since what you call that, absentee ballot was established?
How long has it been since the absentee ballot was established? I mean, I don't know. They've been voting absentee for decades.
I mean, you know, if you know, I mean, you know.
I don't know exactly when the absentee ballot was established. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Reason why I say it is because, you know, everybody have a right to question, you know, what they have doubt about, and especially, you know, if you had the opportunity to travel the world and to understand more than others. A lot of times we dislike what we don't understand.
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah,
and
we have to educate ourselves on those things.
But it's I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have to educate ourselves on those things.
But,
yes.
Yeah, you know, or someone who's more educated than we are when it comes to just being practical, logical, reasonable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With some intelligence, with some respect, you know, and some humor.
Right. All right, Charles. I got to run. We're coming up on a break. Right. Okay. I'm coming up on a break. All right. Thanks for calling, Charles. Thanks for holding. All right. Peace. All right. So before we go to the break, I posted on my Facebook pages about Saturday Night Live. Right. So the opening sketch was good. They had, you know, now I like Woody Harrelson as Joe Biden better than Jim Carrey. But, you know, Maya Rudolph does a hell of a Kamala Harris. Okay. And then they had Maya Rudolph playing Ancient Mima, that's a whole nother conversation. But I first posted, I knew SNL would be hilarious tonight. They should do a skit of Secret Service throwing Trump out of the White House, #karma. Okay. So that was based upon the opening skit dealing with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris becoming president-elect and Madam Vice President-elect, right? So the host was Dave Chappelle. And in general, I like Dave Chappelle. You know, he's pretty funny. And he's insightful with his political humor. So Dave Chappelle did his opening monologue, and he used the N-word a number of times. Now, you know, I don't use the N-word. I understand the history of it. It's a derogatory term. And I posted about this. I said, is SNL going to let Dave Chappelle call other people racial slurs or just us? Why are we the only ones who can be disrespected? So I posted this on my Facebook fan page, the African History Network. Got a lot of responses. Posted on my personal page. One person on my personal page who's not one of my Facebook friends made the mistake of saying, "Oh, the N-word is a term of endearment." I said, if the N-word is a term of endearment, that sounds like an abusive relationship. You should get out. If you think the N-word is a term of endearment, that sounds like an abusive relationship. Call 1-866-GET-OUT. So then I posted a meme of one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. And it says, whoever controls the images controls your self-esteem, self-respect, and self-development. Whoever controls the history controls the vision. Whoever controls the images controls your self-esteem, self-respect, and self-development. Whoever controls the images controls the vision. Okay. So then I posted along with that meme, the reason why SNL let Dave Chappelle use the N-word but not call other races or ethnic groups racial slurs is because you only protect what you respect. You only protect what you respect. White people being called the N-word, because he used the N-word for white people. But I said white people being called the N-word doesn't have the historical context of racism and white supremacy behind it like it does with us. Okay, so we have to, you know, We got to hold people accountable for that. When we talk about demand and respect, and when we talk about the image of African Americans around the world, that image largely comes from what is projected around the world through the images, through the media. Okay. So we have to be cognizant of that and hold people accountable. All right. But anybody who thinks that the N-word is a term of endearment, that means you're in an abusive relationship. You should probably get some help. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you've been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. This is why I don't call our people the N-word. I don't call our women B's and H's and thoughts and all different types of derogatory terms, because I understand what happens when you put pejorative, negative, dehumanizing terms on people. When you read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, she talks about how you relabel a people to change the way that people perceive them, to then absolve themselves of any guilt when it comes to dehumanizing these people. Okay? Because they would not treat themselves that same way. You relabel a people to then change the way people see them, to change the way people see a targeted group of people. You put degenerative, dehumanizing, pejorative names on the people. Okay, so we have to understand this history. All right, we're coming up on the break. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, WFDF. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, we're coming up on a break here, and I'm trying to juggle all this stuff. I have a ton of information, and since I'm on 6 nights a week, we ain't doing 3 hours tonight. I'm tired. I did 2 shows on Saturday. I did 2.5 hours broadcasting here, and then I did Roland Martin's impromptu Roland Martin Unfiltered also. So I'm tired. How's everybody doing? So we have to work. We have to mobilize. We cannot be at the inauguration for 4 years. We can't be at the inauguration for 8 years. We can't be mesmerized. We have to work and organize and push these policies, put pressure, not just on the White House, put pressure on the legislative branch of government to push all these policies through. Go back and watch the broadcast that I did on Saturday, November 7th. It was 2.5 hours. And we go through Biden's plan to Empower Black America. Then we look at the Congressional Black Caucus's Jobs and Justice Act, okay, which is a comprehensive bill that addresses the unemployment rate for African Americans. It gives aid to African American businesses, a number of different things. We got to get that passed. Okay. So this is extremely important. All right, Christy, how you doing, Christy? Actually, Kamala Harris supports HR 40. Y'all need to do better research before you come on here with this bullshit. I'm serious. Y'all need to do better research. These are social media talking points you got from somewhere else. She not only supports HR 40, she also tried to get the anti-lynching bill passed in the U.S. Senate, but that was blocked by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. So y'all need to do better research. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, we're on commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute here. And also Joe Biden supports HR 40 as well. Now, somebody who doesn't support HR 40 is Donald Trump and Senator Mitch McConnell. They don't support HR 40, don't support reparations. Just so y'all know. This is why when we talked about when I was on Roland's show on Friday, and we talked about Bob Johnson's comments, the founder of BET, Bob Johnson, and we talked about his comments on CNBC. First of all, he's talking to a white woman, and he's telling this white woman on CNBC how Donald Trump's policies are better for African Americans. Get the hell out of here. They're better for you because you like his tax cut. Okay, they ain't better for African Americans.
Farmington Hills, Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, November 8th, 2020, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. We'll go back to the phone lines in just a minute here. I want to get through some more of these other topics. Right before the break, we were talking about Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris becoming president-elect and vice president-elect. We talked a little bit about Dave Chappelle's stand-up act and his use of the N-word. His political analysis was insightful, but I object to Saturday Night Live allowing him to use the N-word, especially using multiple times, because they allow him to use historical racial slurs for other groups of people, and they're not going to do that. Why? Because you only protect what you respect. We're the only people who are not protected. We're the only people you can say whatever you want to about in hip hop songs or what have you. We're the only people who can be dehumanized like that. All right. So we're going to continue talking some about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I said we need to hold them accountable as well. All these policies that were promised. And there's various African-American organizations and the Congressional Black Caucus that help put together Biden's 22-page agenda to empower Black America. I talk about the article, and we'll post it here once again. The article from May 5th, 2020, from blackpressusa.com, Joe Biden's plan for empowering Black America, because his plan came out May 4th, 2020. I know some people just found out about it in the past few weeks. So I guess you don't, the people who watch this show know about it because we spent May through June going through it. And then we just went through it again. So I'm going to post this link here. And this is from blackpressusa.com, written by Stacey Brown, this article. And in the article, the excerpt of the article says, let me see here. It talks about the experts that help put it together and the groups, organizations, other highlights. Okay, hold on. Let me find this here. But it talks about the activists, the civil rights organizations, the policy experts, et cetera, that help put the agenda together. Now, it's a floor, not a ceiling, as I've said numerous times before. It's a floor, not a ceiling also. All right. MSN.com and Business Insider had an article, Biden thanks Black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have theirs. Biden thanks Black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have theirs. Hey, Jalen, I want to go to that clip again because I'm going to talk about that now. That clip from CBS News. You have it queued up. Let's go to that clip again.
I'm proud of the campaign we built and ran. I'm proud of the coalition we put together. The broadest and most diverse coalition in history. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Progressives, Moderates, Conservatives, young, old, urban, suburban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially those moments, and especially those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African American community stood up again for me. That's my back.
Okay, he said, you've always had my back and I'll have yours. There's a little distortion there. I'm not sure why. So, yeah, if we look at this article from MSN.com, Biden thanks Black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have he'll have theirs. Now, African Americans across the country, we will vote in our interests. We realize we can't do another 4 years of Trump. If this fool is this crazy, in the first 4 years, he's going to be totally unhinged in the next 4 years. This fool's encouraging white supremacists to show up to state capitals that had Democratic governors talking about open up the state. He has no plan to address coronavirus. We just saw it set a record today, 10 million new cases of coronavirus in total. And then on Saturday, 128,000 new cases. We've set 3 records in a row, 3 days over 100,000 in coronavirus. We see coronavirus is disproportionately impacting African Americans. So all things considered, people who are dealing with reality, not dealing with fantasy, all things considered, people say, oh, hell no. They said Biden's plans are much better than Trump. Biden is more mentally stable. He's going to address coronavirus. Okay. And a number of other reasons. So they organized and they voted. Okay. And Donald Trump, Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris got a record number of votes, 74 million, probably close to 75 million now. But Black voters in key cities such as Detroit, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Detroit, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia and Atlanta were critical to Joe Biden's ability to win over swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So he's going to win Georgia. They're going to do a recount in Georgia because it's under a half a percentage point, the difference. He's going to win Georgia. Okay. He's going to get the 16 electoral college votes associated with Georgia. So they can take their time counting. Donald Trump can do a recount in Georgia. Now some people misunderstand this whole recount thing. They're not going to do a recount of 150 million votes. They're going to do a recount in Georgia. There may possibly be another state because it's so close that they do a recount. All these frivolous lawsuits that Trump is having his people file, that's not going anywhere. Those are frivolous lawsuits. If they had some evidence of fraud or wrongdoing, they would have come out with it by now. If they had some evidence, it don't exist. They're just making stuff up. Okay. He can't deal with the fact that he lost and he's being rejected once again, because in 2016, 3 million more people voted for Hillary Clinton. They didn't want him back then. Okay. And then they don't want him now. He's a 2-time loser. Okay. Teddy Pendergrass had a song about a 2-time loser, right? Love TKO. Okay. There's another song I'm going to listen to and put that on my playlist along with The Devil Went Down in Georgia, or well, The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It sounded like The Devil Went Down in Georgia to me. That's what I heard, but that ain't what the song said. I looked at the lyrics. It said The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It sounded like something else to me, but man, I need to go get my hearing checked. Okay. I guess. But anyway, so Vice President-elect and Senator Kamala Harris also singing out Black voters and specifically Black women in her remarks, calling them, quote, the backbone of our democracy, end quote. If we look quickly here at this article, okay, exit polls reveal that 87% of Black voters backed Joe Biden compared to just 12% who backed Donald Trump, though they also indicated that Trump had improved his standing among Black voters compared to 2016. Black voters were also invaluable to Joe Biden early in the year, awarding him decisive victories in a number of primary contests like South Carolina. Okay. And it was Representative James Clyburn, who came out, House Majority Whip, who came out and publicly endorsed Joe Biden. And I said from the beginning, I'm somebody actually studies politics. I said from the beginning, to be the old white man, you're gonna need another old white man. In this climate, in this climate here in the U.S. right now, and Donald Trump has encouraged white supremacists. To be the old white man, you're gonna need another old white man. Senator Kamala Harris is brilliant. She's presidential. Oh, she can definitely be president. But in this climate right now, I already knew to be the old white man, you're gonna need another old white man. That's all it is to it. So check out this article here from MSN.com. Once again, we have to hold them accountable. We have to organize, mobilize. January 5th, 2020, those special elections in Georgia are critical. We got to organize there. But then also, we've got to We have to hold this administration and any other administration accountable, as well as the House of Representatives, U.S. Senate. People should download the document Indivisible from indivisibleguide.com, Guide. I think that's still the website, Indivisible, because Indivisible teaches you how to, that deals with how to put pressure on your member of the House of Representatives and U.S. Senate. Okay, Indivisible. And it deals with how to put pressure on your members of the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. And it was put together by former congressional staffers who looked at the strategies that that the Tea Party used to stymie and blunt and attack President Barack Obama. And they put together a document to teach how to strategize against Donald Trump. It's called Indivisible. So when the vote went down in the U.S. Senate, over the Affordable Health Care Act, and it was Senator John McCain that gave a thumbs down, who saved the Affordable Health Care Act in the Senate. Prior to that, you had people all over the country who were organizing and mobilizing, and they were outside of their member of the U.S. Senate every Tuesday, or member of the House of Representatives every Tuesday, and they would show a huge crowd of people and they're protesting. And you had these groups that were organizing all across the country. And many of them, tens of thousands of people, were organizing and mobilizing across the country to save the Affordable Health Care Act. Many of them white. They were organizing based upon that document called Indivisible. Okay, it's powerful. And it has form letters, form emails in there of how to communicate with your member of the House of Representatives and your member of the U.S. Senate, and how to put pressure on them. So we need to study that also. All right, we'll go back to the phone lines in just a minute here. I gotta keep track of time, make sure we get through these topics here. How Black voters in key cities help deliver the election to Joe Biden. NBCnews.com has a good article with this. Also, African-American voters help save Gary Peters as well. From John James, Detroit Free Press has an article on this. Black voters in Detroit key for Joe Biden and Gary Peters' victory. Senator Gary Peters, who's running against John James. John James hasn't conceded. We don't need your concession. Just go somewhere. Donald Trump, we don't need your concession. Just January 20th, if you're going to be evicted from the White House, just you need to be making arrangements, call a moving van, call two men in the truck or somebody, and get out. The fact that we have matched and topped white voter participation and done that while going through voter suppression in new and old forms every year, we are extraordinary, said organizer Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter. The fact that we have matched and topped white voter participation and done that while going through voter suppression in new and old forms every year, we are extraordinary. Also during a global pandemic as well. So they're talking about in Atlanta, and they talked to Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter. African Americans, who make up 39% of the population in those areas, chose Joe Biden with some exceptions. In fact, once the vote counts from Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Atlanta started to near completion, Donald Trump's lead in their respective states disappeared. Joe Biden would not have been the Democratic presidential nominee without Black votes in South Carolina. He reached 270 electoral college votes in large part because of Black votes in these cities. Now, in the way that one could on election night 2020, Latasha Brown was making the rounds. She was in a suite near the top of a luxury hotel, so close to the airport that the balcony view overlooked a Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport airplane parking lot. Now, I've been to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport many times. I know it when they showed on MSNBC. I know what it looks like. I've been there many times. That's a huge airport. Okay. Also, there was Cliff Albright, who with Latasha Brown co-founded the voter mobilization organization Black Voters Matter. Black Voters Matter. After a Google Hangout with the field directors that had hired they had hired to register, engage, and boost voter participation around the country. Latasha Brown sequestered herself in a bedroom, resting her body in a hotel chair, her tired feet by then stripped to the socks on the bed. Between bites of food and watching election returns turn bits of the national map red or blue, Latasha Brown juggled calls, internet video sessions, and text messages, in each countering the conventional wisdom with journalists, political operatives, and others that the election would come down to Donald Trump's mythical all-white suburbs filled with stay-at-home moms, or Joe Biden's ability to convert them. Instead, it was decided in racially diverse urban centers and increasingly diverse suburbs in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia, because the suburbs are less white today than they were 20, 30 years ago. All right. The black people who make up 39% or more of the population in those areas chose Biden with some exceptions. In fact, once the vote counts from Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Atlanta started to near completion, Trump's lead in their respective states disappeared. So Donald Trump was saying, keep counting in Arizona, but stop counting in Philadelphia. Keep counting in Arizona, stop counting in Philadelphia. Stop counting in Detroit, keep counting in Arizona. Stop counting in Atlanta. Make up your mind which one you want to do. This is why these lawsuits make no sense. So former Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, who's also a former U.S. attorney, he said on ABC News, he said Donald Trump is hurting his legal argument if you're saying keep counting in this state, but stop counting in this state. If you have evidence of fraud, come forward with the fraud. Otherwise, we can't support you. If you have evidence of the fraud, come forward with the fraud. But when you say keep counting over here, but stop counting over here, it hurts your argument, but you don't have one in the first place. But within minutes of starting an interview with the CBC Radio Canada, Latasha Brown ran headlong into the conventional and dismissive wisdom about American politics that conceives of white voters as more important or legitimate than African American and Hispanic ones. That conceives of white voters as more important or legitimate than African American voters and Hispanic ones. Now, on MSNBC today, Ari Melber talked about this, and he talked about how Donald Trump got the majority of white votes. Okay, 57% of white voters voted for Donald Trump, and it was women and non-white people who were key to Joe Biden's victory. Okay, and we look at they have majority of women voted for Biden, not white women, but women, period. Biden got 56% of the female vote. Okay, we're coming up here on the break in 2 minutes. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. Who we have here? Who we have next on the line? I lost track. Who's next?
Next is Carl.
Carl. All right. Hey, Carl, thanks for holding, man. We got so much information. Thanks for holding, Carl. Welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Detroit.
From Detroit. All right, the Motor City, Motown, man, Motown. They were trying to stop. They were at the TCF Center, man, trying to stop them from counting black people's votes. Go ahead, brother.
I don't know why they come away from 20 Mile Road for that foolishness.
Man,
I had people family working down at the polls.
Hey,
down there.
Hey.
They couldn't get up in there if they tried, man.
Hey, Carl, you know, I'm gonna hold you over on the break, but you know, if Mayor Coleman Alexander Young was still mayor, they would have never came down here with that nonsense, right?
Oh, they would have never made it there. They would have never made it there. They would shut down the street long before they even crossed 8 Mile.
Yep.
You know, brother, I thank you for putting down this history, because voting
black people don't understand this, and I don't know why. It hurts me, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're the canary in the coal mine. We can run this country without votes. There's no way Donald Trump should have made it in the last time.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be no more Republican presidents, period, in this country. George W. Bush, his daddy should have been the last one until his son stole it down there in Florida because his brother was governor down there. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that 537 popular votes. I remember that.
Yes.
In Florida.
See, black people must understand something. You were saying about the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't understand why we still utter that word. I never did that, man. I still call my black people brothers and sisters.
Right.
That's a derogatory. That's a hateful word. Usually when another brother slaughter or kill another black man, that's the first word he utter.
Mm-hmm.
People, we have to change ourselves, man. I don't understand. You know, to deal with America and understand how America is, man. For one thing, Joe Biden, I think and I believe the Democrats must go hard. Do not play ever with the Republican Party.
Right.
Give them no leeway because they cutthroat.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna hold it right there, Carl. I'm gonna hold you over on the break. We're up against a break. I'm gonna hold you over, and we'll finish your comments on the other side of the break. Okay. And then we have to push as well. We can't just sit back and watch TV. No. No, we have to be engaged and involved and organized and mobilized. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. We're up against commercial break. Hey, if you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay. And we'll re-air your commercials through when we rebroadcast the shows. Also, we create a video commercial for you. We air that on our social media platforms as well when we rebroadcast the shows. Okay, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay, so that definitely helps because we're on 6 nights a week instead of just Sunday night. We're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight as of October 12th. So I'm on 6 nights a week. So that really helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, because that's a much bigger time commitment. So yeah, $ the AHN Show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. All right, I am looking for this here. Okay, we'll be back in a couple minutes. We'll go back to the phone lines. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. And then, yeah, watch the broadcast. Watch the show I did Friday, November 6th. Watch the show I did Saturday, November 7th. When we come back, I'm going to share an excerpt. I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Saturday, November 7th. He did a special edition, election day edition. A special election edition dealing with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris becoming president-elect and vice president-elect. And we'll share some more segments throughout the week. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, November 8th, 2020. Oh, has it been a busy week, especially since the election Tuesday protests took place and people saying stop counting over here, keep counting over there, stop counting in Philadelphia and Detroit and Atlanta. Just happen to be cities where they have a high African-American population. And I'm like, well, why are you in our city? I live 3 or 4 minutes from the TCF Center, which used to be Cobo Hall, named after a white racist mayor, but that's another show. And yeah, people outside protesting, Donald Trump supporters, alleging fraud. Wait a second. I want to make sure I understand this. You are supporting a guy that was impeached. You supporting a guy that told over 20,000 lies. You supporting a guy who ran a fake university in the city of New York, had to pay a $24 million fine, a $24 million settlement, and a $1 million fine. You supporting somebody that's going to go down probably as the most corrupt president in history, and you want to talk about fraud? Where is it? So they alleged fraud. All these lawsuits been thrown out, except one, and I think that was in Pennsylvania, and that was just saying the poll watchers need to be closer to the people doing the counting. They need to be, instead of 20 feet away, 6 feet away, something like that. Okay, go ahead. It's not going to change anything. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go back to Carl, line 1. Hey, Carl, thanks for holding. Go ahead with your last comments.
Yes, yeah, these people who voted for the American citizens, these white folks who voted for Donald Trump, they voted against their own interests. He had, for one thing, why would you see? I work around a bunch of Donald Trump supporters, and it's so bad that the place I work for, it's a huge sign that says Trump in front of it. They don't care to talk to me no more because I say the man is garbage. I said, you know he's garbage. I said, he wants to take away your health care. Pre-existing. I said, how can you top that? I said, look at your health care and policies. I said, what, when we pay into it, it's only 60% coverage. Meaning everybody's going to get a disease somewhere down the line. I told my man, my coworker, I said, you said about your wife, she got cancer. So under Obama, the health care is protecting her. So the insurance company can't kick her off. And you want to vote for this? He looked at me and he walked away. He had nothing to say. But this is real.
They're voting against their own interests. Yep. Yeah. And so this goes back to 2016. I talked about this in 2016, brother. I'm gonna let you finish. I talked about this in 2016. This dealt with, so the Atlantic.com had an article that talked about how a lot of people that voted for Trump, a lot of white people that voted for Trump, it was about cultural anxiety. And it was about a change in the makeup of America and America becoming less white, and how a lot of white people fear becoming a minority, a racial minority in this country. Okay. But see, by the year 2043, demographers and the U.S. Census project that white people will no longer be a majority in this country. Now, all white people don't fear this. Some of them do fear this, and they're Donald Trump supporters. Okay. So I'm not saying all white people fear this, but about 70 million of them do. Okay. And they voted for Trump. So they fear becoming a numerical minority, and a lot of them don't know how to handle this. Okay. And they're voting against their own interests, just like coronavirus. All right. And then when you talk about healthcare, 102 million people have pre-existing conditions, and coronavirus is a pre-existing condition. The Affordable Health Care Act has saved millions of white people's lives, but some of them are voting against their own interests. And you're dealing with white supremacy and racism and cultural anxiety. This is what you're dealing with. Go ahead with your last comment.
Yes. Now, John McCain, I didn't care much for him. He voted against Martin Luther King's birthday, but when he on his deathbed, that's why he voted it down, because he was dying of sickness. He understood on his last days that American people needed that. He put all partisan beside him. Beside all of that. But the problem is that white folks, they don't got nothing. They can't stop time. You cannot stop that. Things are going to change. Ain't no black folks out here trying to do harm to all this ignorant thinking. For what reason, man? It's just a thing. But I'm gonna tell you, like unemployment. Are they serious? You mean to tell me you voted for Republicans that the Democrat package is $600 a week plus other things? Millions of people have lost their jobs. They're not coming back. The Republican Party is offering garbage, $300, not helping the states, not helping. So you mean to tell me you want to sit up there and vote because the color of your skin? Ain't that something, man?
Well, brother, I talked about this in 2016. They're trying to preserve genetic white survival. This is what this boils down to. In 2016, a lot of white people, not all of them, but a lot of white people saw Donald Trump as their last hope. This is about preserving genetic white survival. This is why you had Republicans working so hard to maintain control of the U.S. Senate so they can keep confirming the substandard, unqualified, largely white males on the federal bench, which is a lifetime appointment, because they want to control, because these right-wing Republicans want to control the federal bench for the next 25, 30, 35, 40 years so that they can interpret law. Okay, so the legislative branch of government writes the laws, but it's the judicial branch, the federal courts, the Federal Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Supreme Court that interprets the law, and they have the final say. Okay, we don't understand that long game. They're playing this long. They're playing this long range game, and many of us don't understand this. Okay, all right, brother.
That's why black folks need to vote. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Okay, thanks. And as I say before, so politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Politics is the legal distribution. I ain't say it's the fair distribution. It's the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So voting is just one aspect of politics. It's not the only aspect. We also have to leverage our economics to enforce our politics. So when I deal with the pyramid principle, and two of my teachers, Dr. Lyndon Jeffries and Professor James Small, we'll go back to the phone lines in just a minute. When they teach, they talk about the pyramid principle, and they usually show a pyramid of Khafre at Giza, and I show it also. And the foundation is African history and culture. It's our history and culture that gives us our VIPs, our values, our interests, and our principles. And this influences our economic empowerment and our political empowerment. We have to have a synthesis of the African history and culture. And our history and culture gives us a cultural paradigm that we see reality through. Okay. Empowers the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if we're their own. Your thoughts create feelings. Your feelings create actions and behaviors. Your actions and behaviors create results. Our history and culture influences how we engage in economic empowerment. So when I talk about Dr. Jessica Gordon Nimhard's book, Collective Courage, which deals with a history of African-American cooperative economics and the co-ops, this is showing how we are engaging in economic empowerment, but it's principles that we brought with us from Africa to this country. Taking a communal approach, the cooperatives, the cooperative economics, the co-ops, okay, the Colored Merchants Association, like 1928-29, that comes out of the National Negro League, the Colored Farmers Union, 1886 in Texas, that grows to 1.2 million members. And we have, I got a book here somewhere. I got about 7 stacks of books right here. Collective Courage by Dr. Jessica Gordon Nimhard, okay? A history of African-American cooperative economic thought and practice. So black capitalism is not the same as cooperative economics. You have some people that dress up black capitalism as cooperative economics. No, those are two different things. All right. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go. Okay. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's see who. Okay, we lost John, and then we have Dave. Okay, Dave. This is Dave. Okay, Dave. Welcome to the African History Network Show. Thanks for calling. Tell us where you're calling from.
Yeah, Virginia, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Where you calling from? Which city you calling from, Dave?
Newport News, man. Newport News.
Newport News.
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Virginia. We have listeners all across the country. All right. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, I talked to you, I think, last week about the low-hanging fruit for reparations. I think we talked about the Devil's Punch Bowl, the Friedman's Bureau, and Tulsa.
Yeah, when I talked about the Black Freedman Indian Treaties of 1866, and because those are laws still on the books.
Good point about that too.
Yeah, those are laws. Those are. Hold on, just.
You've been doing a hell of a job. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. I like it.
Oh, thank you. But the Black Freedman Indian Treaties, 1860. Hold on, just 1 second. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just can you hear me?
Kamala Harris.
Hey, put him on hold for a minute, Jay. Hold on. He can't hear me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hold on, just 1 second. Okay, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. For people that don't know, the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866 are laws that are still on the books right now that apply to the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians who also own African slaves. And many of our ancestors were in those treaties, but got pushed out of those treaties in 1941. We were getting land, we were getting cash compensations, etc. And when you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tulsa was founded by Creek Indians around 1836, who got pushed off of their land in the southeast United States because of the Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson. And these 5 Native American nations, including the Creek Indians, go over 1,000 miles on the Trail of Tears into Oklahoma, and they take their African slaves with them. So a lot of the early Black landowners in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Black Wall Street was, a lot of them got their land because of the Black Friedman Indian Treaties of 1866. All right, go ahead with your comment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for explaining that. I'd like to talk about the vacant senatorial seat in California, and get your opinion. I got 3 people that I can recommend. I just want to get your opinion about.
So Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris' seat is going to be vacant. Yeah, when she takes the oath of office, January 20th.
Maxine Waters.
No, she's
Karen Bass. Okay, I got Maxine Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Bass, and my last one is Oprah Winfrey. Tell me what you think about those 3.
It's not going to be Oprah. It's not going to be Maxine Waters, because Maxine Waters sits on Maxine Waters chairs the House Finance Committee. So because Democrats are in control of the House of Representatives, then they are the chairs of all the House committees. Maxine Waters is in a very powerful position. She chairs the House Finance Committee. So she's not going to give that up to go to the U.S. Senate. And then she has to run for re-election in the Senate. Right. It'll probably be Karen Bass, who is the current chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Out of the 3, it'll probably be her. It's not going to be Oprah.
Oh, okay. And you think that you don't think that Oprah Winfrey would be a good choice?
No, I don't. 1, she doesn't have a background in politics. 2, she has to be. So the Senate seat is going to be appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom. When you have a situation like this, and when you have a situation like this, and there's a Senate seat open or a U.S. House of Representatives seat open, is the sitting governor appoint somebody to fulfill the rest of that term. All right. So it's not going to be Oprah.
Okay.
And I don't even think Oprah. I don't even think Oprah wants the position. I don't even think Oprah wants the position. But no, it's not going to be Oprah.
Yeah, actors have been in politics for quite some time. Ronald Reagan, Sonny Bono, Al Franken.
Yeah, but they ran for those positions. They ran for those positions. They ran for those positions. Yeah, they ran for those positions. They weren't appointed.
Jesse Ventura, Al Franken. So it's not impossible.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Keep listening. The difference is that those actors ran for those positions. This is a position that's appointed. When you have a situation where you have a vacancy on the U.S. Senate or House of Representatives, the sitting governor appoints someone to fulfill the rest of that term. Okay, if Oprah Winfrey wanted to run for a U.S. Senate seat, she would have already done so, I would think. Okay, so the difference is that those other actors and actresses, they ran for those positions. They weren't appointed in those positions. There's a difference. Let's go to the next call, and I got to get to the rest of this information here. Let's go to who do we have next? Jalen.
Next is Roland.
Okay, hey Roland, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit. All right, go ahead, Roland.
Now, I have a couple questions to ask you.
Go ahead.
In a way, I'm glad that Biden won. In a way, it's not glad. The other reason why I'm not glad is the fact that he's going to be put in the same position as Trump, as Obama was put in.
Which position is that?
That is in the position that he was in, as Republican was for control of the Senate.
Well, we don't know that for certain yet because there's still two special Senate races in Georgia that take place January 5th, 2020. This is what I talked about at the top of the show. If Democrats win both those seats, then Republicans will not be in control of the U.S. Senate. Democrats will be in control of the U.S. Senate. That's why those two Senate races in Georgia are so critical. Go ahead.
I thought. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they already was in control. They kept control of it already.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No. What happened was in Georgia. What happened was in Georgia, the two Georgia races that just took place. Reverend Raphael Warnock running against sitting Senator Kelly Loeffler, Republican, and then also Republican Senator David Perdue running against Democratic challenger John Ossoff. In the state of Georgia, if neither candidate gets 50% of the vote or more, it goes to a runoff between the two highest vote getters. So in both of these races, neither candidate got 50% or more. So there's a special election runoff January 5th, 2020. Okay. So if Democrats win both those races, then they'll be in control of the U.S. Senate.
Okay, that's what they're gonna have to do. Otherwise, they would be in the same boat Obama was in.
Well, partly. Well, partly, but the difference is, I'm gonna let you finish. The difference is that Joe Biden is white, and Joe Biden has known Mitch McConnell. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell served in the Senate for decades. So even though I'm telling you right now, Biden will be able to get. I don't want Mitch McConnell in control of the Senate. Don't get me wrong, but when you got an old white man talking to another old white man, and Biden has deep relationships in the Senate, he'll be able to get more passed in the Senate than Obama could. But they would be still blocking a lot. But he'll be able to get more passed in the Senate with Mitch McConnell in control, because you see Biden go talk that old white man talk. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. But anyway, go ahead, man.
You know what the fact is? You know what? Trump had more to lose than Biden. Trump is afraid of. He's not afraid. He really not afraid of losing the election. He's afraid of going to jail.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah. Well, he didn't want to be humiliated in losing the election. He's afraid of going to prison. He's afraid of his taxes being exposed. All karma. The chicken's about to come home to roost. January 21st, 2020 is gonna be on and popping. They're coming for him. You still have in I think it's the district in Manhattan, U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan. You got like 14 sealed indictments there. That was tied around Michael Cohen and his indictment and him going to prison and a lot of the information, a lot of the documents and evidence he turned over. You got 14 unsealed indictments in I think it's Manhattan. Okay, U.S. Attorney's Office, all this stuff. Karma's about to hit. The chicken's about to come home to roost. Go ahead, man, with your last comment.
You know, another thing I was saying, Trump, as I say, the question I want to ask you, questions I want to answer. When did pass stand your ground law got placed on the book?
You said when did what?
Stand your own ground.
Stand your ground first passed in Florida. Stand your ground laws first passed in Florida. Stand your ground laws were pushed by ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. The first state to have stand your ground laws were Florida. Stand your ground laws vary from state to state in how clearly defined they are. Florida has some of the most ambiguous or nebulous some of the most ambiguous stand your ground laws.
One more question: When did the law came on that a president can't be convicted of a crime? That's why the president is in jail now. He can't be convicted of a crime while he was in office.
So that's a memo. It's not a law. It is a memo from the Department of Justice from about 1973 under the Richard Nixon administration. So it's a policy in the Department of Justice. It's not a law, and it's not settled case law. It's not part of the U.S. Constitution.
Oh,
okay.
So that means it's possible he could be convicted. He could have been convicted.
Well, it would have to go to court, and that policy would be like overturned or ruled unconstitutional or something like that. You need a court ruling. You would need a court ruling on that. That's a current policy in the Department of Justice that dates back to the Richard Nixon administration. So you would need a court ruling on that to overrule that. All right, man, I gotta get to these other calls. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay, now
all right.
Talk to you.
All right. Call me back tomorrow night. The article I was looking for from TheAHNTic.com is called "It Was Cultural Anxiety That Drove White Working Class Voters to Trump." This is from May 9th, 2017. I talked about this then when this came out because there were other articles from other news outlets dealing with this and other studies like this. It was cultural anxiety that drove white working class voters to Trump. A new study finds that fear of societal change, not economic pressure, motivated votes for the president among non-salaried workers without college degrees. Non-salaried workers without college degrees. You had a lot of white people, no college education, who feared the browning of America. That's what all this is about. The fear of the browning of America, the fear of the year 2043, and white people no longer being the majority population in this country, and what's going to happen. Now all white people fear this. I'm not saying. Many of the ones who voted for Donald Trump do in 2016 and in 2020. All right, I want to go to this clip here. So I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. And then Roland did a impromptu broadcast after the news came out that Biden was president-elect. So he broadcasted again. I saw him broadcast and send him a text. I said, hey, I can come on the broadcast also. So I did. So Dr. Greg Carr, my friend Dr. Greg Carr, who we've had on the show a number of times, and he's the chair of the Afro-American Studies Department at Howard University. Dr. Greg Carr was talking about Biden, Harris winning, what this means, things like this, how we have to push. And then Roland threw it to me. Let's go to this clip.
Needed. That's right. And in fact, let me say this right quick, Roland. In the 24-month window, it's something important to understand. Let's say that they flip those two seats and it's 50-50. Not 50-50. Because Joe Manchin can't.
Joe Manchin, yep, Joe Manchin.
And Kelly he's got to run in 2 years to be reelected out of Arizona.
Well, and also the other Arizona senator,
they can't be trusted. So I'm saying that first 24 months, let's assume, as Reese has said, the stuff that is baked into policy that Kamala Harris has that relies on executive order, that's where you got to push Biden. And I would say very quickly in that regard, immigration, the consent decrees immediately. Yeah. You got to restore them. Everything you can do with executive order. And then the cabinet position. Listen, Barack Obama, good job. Now, go sit down somewhere. You don't have any advice on cabinet positions. Because when you could have appointed Linda Darling-Hammond or Lisa Delpit as the Secretary of Education in this country, you picked your basketball buddy. Immediately, we've got to have a list. These are the cabinet positions. Don't be angling with all these centrists because, see, the Democratic Party can't be trusted. We've seen that. And they can't be trusted again. So we have to, what you said, organize power, which must squash enough of the beef between the legacy civil rights organizations, the elected politicians, because even I'm hearing now Clyburn today warning people against going too far left. Okay, you're an elder, all respect, bruh, but let's be very clear. We got to squash enough of the external conversation to get you in the room with these young people, because I'm going to tell you right now, you could have been one step closer to flipping the Senate if y'all had put some money in Mike Espy, but y'all don't believe in black people. So later now, for the old conversations and the Democrats come, and you better not. And Reese, I'm so happy to hear you say this about Senator Harris. I have Vice President Harris. You better not try to fix your mouth to send Vice President Harris in to calm the Negroes down if they get a little too rowdy. Because see, we know how y'all play. We got since the 1960s on how the Democrats play this game, and certainly since Bill Clinton. And if you study your history, you know that's the move they're going to next. They already previewed it. And Andrew Yang on CNN talking about reconciliation. We remember Reconstruction. There is no healing in this nation because it ain't no nation. White people have voted against humanity, and black and other people voted for humanity. So all this healing talk, all this purple talk, all this red state, no blue state, United States, shut up. Because at this point, we've got to advance our interest, and we've demonstrated that with this election.
The thing is that I want to bring in Michael Imhotep right now from Detroit. Michael, Detroit plays such a huge role in delivering Michigan. I did a TV show, Let It Rip, with my frat brother, Hugh Perkins, and boy, they had all these Republicans on there. They said Donald Trump was going to roll through Macomb County like a hurricane, like a tornado, and they were going to deliver. And I was sitting there like, and I told my kid, all y'all going to get your asses whooped. Because again, he can roll through Macomb County all he wants through a tornado, a hurricane. I said, it's going to be a tsunami of blackness coming out of Detroit. That is exactly what we saw that put Joe Biden over the top in Michigan.
Absolutely, man. And once again, thanks for having me on, Roland. Thanks for doing this. Shout out to Dr. Greg Carr as well. My friend, Dr. Greg Carr. How you doing, brother? So, you know, you played that clip of evangelist Paula White talking about the African angels coming. The African angels did come, but it wasn't the ones that they thought were going to come. Okay, I think the spirit of Toussaint Louverture, I think the spirit of Bookman Dada and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, I think the spirit of Nat Turner, I think they played a role in this, because when we vote, we don't vote because our ancestors died for the right to vote. We have to understand the difference, because if you do that, you could be electing people who are working to dismantle the legacy that your ancestors fought for. We learn those lessons and understand why they were voting in, and they understood the power that it had. But we vote for policies that impact us today and in the future. Dr. Greg Carr just mentioned Reconstruction. Well, today's the anniversary of the 1876 presidential election, where Rutherford B. Hayes did not get enough electoral college votes to become president, which then led to the compromise of 1877, and the Republicans agreed to remove the Union troops out of the South to allow Rutherford B. Hayes to become president. This is what ended Reconstruction. So as you said, Brother Roland, as I said on my show last night, in the broadcast I did today for 2.5 hours, this has to be a third Reconstruction. This next 4 years right here, brother, this has to be a third Reconstruction, because and there's no guarantee in the 2022 midterm elections that Democrats will maintain control of the House of Representatives. We hope they do. So these next 2 years are crucial. All these policies, and I spent 2.5 hours going through the Lift Every Voice plan again with my listeners, with my viewers at the African History Network. Everybody needs to read this. This is not a ceiling, this is a floor. But this is what we hold them accountable to. Okay, we helped you win, we pushed you over the top, damn it. All this stuff that you promised up, all this negotiated, we want a return on our investment. It's time to pay up.
All
right, pause it right there.
And I know people who are watching.
Pause it right there. Okay, so you can watch that. We share that on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, that full broadcast. I come on about 35 minutes into it. And it's on Roland's, he's been showing it, man. It's getting tens of thousands of views. He's been showing it on his Facebook page, Roland Martin, and then on YouTube, Roland Martin on YouTube. I did a 2.5 hour broadcast on Saturday, September 7th. We go through, and my listeners who are watching now, we went through Biden's entire 22-page agenda to empower Black America, lift every voice, and broke that down once again in a condensed version. You can go to joebiden.com/Black America, joebiden.com/Black America, and you can read it there. Okay. Hey Jayla, how much time we have left in the show? Because I know the clocks are not. How much?
2 minutes.
Okay. We still have Theo. Let's get Theo's comments in like 60 seconds. Theo Broughton, thanks for holding. Give me your 67 Cliff Notes version of what you want to say.
All right. Congratulations to you for helping us to get Biden over the finish line. Number 2, yes, you need to tell me about the Roland and Martin show that you're on when, time, and where. But the other question is, can the governor of California appoint himself as a senator?
That'll leave the governorship open. I don't think that's going to happen. No.
Okay.
No.
But it is possible.
I don't even think that's possible. That I never heard that before, but that's not going to happen.
Well, they say the president cannot pardon himself, so that's
but that ain't gonna happen in California. All right. Call me tomorrow night. Call me tomorrow night. I'm on tomorrow night, 11 p.m. All right, Theo.
Okay.
All right.
Roland Martin.
Oh yeah. Well, he's on check him on his Facebook fan page, and it re-airs. He broadcasts usually 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, but check. He re-airs it on his Facebook page and YouTube. Roland Martin on Facebook and Roland Martin on YouTube. Okay, and you can watch it anytime. That you can listen to it anytime. All right. Okay, everybody. Hey, we're out of time here. We're going to continue on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. So those watching on our social media platforms, continue to watch. You can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, including my presentation, 6 Principles of Political Self-Defense, How Laws and Policies Impact the Economic Conditions of African Americans. 6 Principles of Political Self-Defense, How Laws and Policies Impact the Economic Conditions of African Americans. And we have the bundle pack, the 8 DVD bundle pack, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus. So we deal with Columbus. We have a double lecture with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. And we deal with the ancient African presence in the Americas, including this land we call the United States of America, dating back at least 51,700 years ago. Those were the Khoisan, who come from Southern Africa and go all around the world, who were the ancestors to the Ainu and the Twa. All right, we got to get out of here. We'll continue on my social media platforms for a little while longer. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now, squares wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you again Monday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. Okay. All right. Also, email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can advertise with the African History Network. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast also. Okay, we're going to continue. Got a little bit more. I really didn't want to go past 2 hours, because I did like 4.5 hours yesterday, 2.5 hours on my show, then an hour and a half on Roland's or something. But I still have some information to get to. We're going to get to some history here in just a minute. All right. So email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we can create a video commercial for you at no additional charge. We air the video commercial when we rebroadcast our shows on Facebook and YouTube, and then also your audio commercial will air in the audio podcast of our shows. We're on iHeartRadio, Castbox, Stitcher, FM Player, TuneIn, iTunes. We're on 9 different podcast platforms. All right. So the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, is founded by Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim, and it has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges and universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History Mobile Exhibit in American History. Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits right now. Visit their website, blackhistorymobilemuseum.com, blackhistorymobilemuseum.com, or give him a call at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197 for more information. All right, now, have you tasted the No Frowny Brownie from the pinkbakery.com? The pinkbakery.com is the first Black-owned Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company, the first Black-owned Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Okay, visit their website right now, thepinkbakery.com, to order their No Frowny Brownie mix today. All right, let's continue. Okay, so everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. We're going to post these articles here for you to check out how Black voters in key cities helped deliver the election for Joe Biden. We voted our interests. We voted our interests. We looked at Joe Biden's policies and we looked at Donald Trump's policies, and we voted our interests. Whose policies best match up with our issues? Okay, whose policies are going to be most beneficial to African Americans? And I deal with this when I teach about 6 principles of political self-defense. Understanding how understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. Okay, and we deal with whose policies are going to be most beneficial for African Americans, whose policies are going to do the least amount of harm, who can create an environment for us to push our agenda the farthest and get the most accomplished. Who can create an environment for us to push our agenda the farthest and get the most accomplished? Many people read Biden's policies and then they read Donald Trump's policies. They looked at what Trump had been doing the past 3.5 years and they said, oh, hell no, we can't take another 4 years of this. Who is going to protect gains that were already made? Who's going to protect policies that were put in place that are already beneficial from us? We see Donald Trump has reversed over 200 policies from the Obama administration. We see that right now his attorney general is in court to remove, to repeal the entire Affordable Health Care Act. That case goes before the U.S. Supreme Court November 10th, 2020, exactly 1 week after the November 3rd election. That case goes before the U.S. Supreme Court. In the middle of a global pandemic, Donald Trump is so evil and vindictive that he wants to kick at least 20 million people off of health care. And you have 102 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and coronavirus is a pre-existing condition also now. And they're going to, and he wants to take health care away from these people. So people looked at Biden's policies and how they impact us, and they looked at Trump's policies and they said, oh, hell no. This is pretty simple. We voted our interests. Okay, so we have to look at whose policies best match up with our issues, who can create an environment for us to push our agenda the farthest and push our policies the farthest and get the most accomplished. And then something that's extremely important, who can be pushed the farthest to get the most accomplished? Who can, this ain't about who you love. This ain't about, we're not trying to take them to the prom or marry them. Who can be pushed the farthest and get the most accomplished? Angela Davis says something very important. She says something to the effect that she was voting for Biden, not because she loved Biden, but Biden could be pressured more than Trump. Biden could be pushed more than Trump. This is what people have to understand. Okay. So when I do a 6 principles of political self-defense, this is what these are things that I break down. And I show you historical examples of this. And then also talk about how many of our people don't fight back because many of our people don't think they are worth fighting for. Many of our people don't fight back because many of our people don't think they are worth fighting for. And then we also have to stop financing our own dehumanization. See, what I find interesting is a lot of people don't talk about how Donald Trump supports privatized prisons and how Trump reversed the August 2016 initiative from the Obama administration not to renew federal contracts with privatized prisons. When the day that announcement came out from the Obama administration, the stock prices of Core Civic and Geo Group, two of the largest owner-operators of privatized prisons, took a big hit because they're both publicly traded companies. They also donated almost $600,000 to Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Then when Trump became president through the Electoral College, he reversed that initiative and that stock price went up. But a lot of people who voted against Trump in 2016 invest in privatized prisons and don't know it, and it's through their 401k plans and pension fund plans. So we also have to stop financing our own dehumanization. We have to look and see where our money is invested. So in June of 2017, City of New York employees in June of 2017 divested $48 million of pension fund dollars from 3 privatized prisons because they found out they were invested in privatized prisons. So they said, you may have privatized prisons, but you're not going to do it with our money. So we also have to stop financing our own dehumanization. I talked about this before. It was, I think, 2019. Roland Martin hosted a panel discussion dealing with the state of Black America, and it was Reverend Al Sharpton, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, and Susan Taylor, former editor of Essence. Okay, now would I have liked to see some other people on the panel? Not myself, but other people on the panel, sure. But Reverend Al Sharpton said something that's very important, and his show airs on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I listen to his show. I agree with maybe about 70% of what he says. But he said something that was extremely important that a lot of people missed. He said that, I think it was 2019 that this came out. He said a big initiative of the National Action Network that year, they may still do it this year, I don't know, but at least that year, a big initiative of the National Action Network that year was to teach African Americans to understand where their pension fund dollars are being invested and how they can control where their pension fund dollars are being invested. And he said that what happens is that we'll invest pension, we'll have our pension funds. And I'm not against pension funds or 401k plans. We need that. We need that for retirement. We need that. But we need to be cognizant of where our money is being invested, because oftentimes we could be financing our own dehumanization and not know it. We could be voting against something, but then financing it through our 401k plans and pension fund plans at the very same time. So he said what happens is we'll invest our money with in pension funds with money managers. Money managers will then loan that money to business developers and real estate developers. Those business developers and real estate developers will then come into our communities and gentrify us out of our own communities with our own dollars, and we don't know this. So we may vote against gentrification, but then we are surreptitiously, covertly financing gentrification against us. Okay, it's the same thing with privatized prisons. We may vote against privatized prisons, but we could also be covertly financing privatized prisons and not understand this. So we have to stop financing our own dehumanization as well. All right, so check out the article here from NBC News, how Black voters in key cities helped deliver the election to Joe Biden. Check out that article. And then we have the one here from MSN.com also. It's a really, really important one, I think, because we need to hold them accountable to this also. Okay, this is about accountability as well. Okay, and this is Biden thanks Black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have theirs, because we're gonna hold you to it. All right, and we should. Anybody else would? We should. Let's see if we can turn on this screen share. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Let's see with this share. Okay. All right. Okay, yeah, check this one out here. This is from MSN. It's from businessinsider.com and MSN.com. Biden thanks black voters and tells them they've always had his back, and so he'll have theirs. Okay, because we're going to hold you to that. And also, when we deal with 6 principles of political self-defense, you know, I talk about this. Is not always about what someone can do for you. It's also about understanding how to block what people are trying to do to you as well. Is understanding how people's policies are attacking you and will have a negative impact upon you, and understanding how to stop them, how to block them, vote those people out of office. Okay, because one part of politics is how will your policies positively impact us. Another part of politics is understanding political self-defense and how to block what people are trying to do to you as well. All right. So what you can do with the pensions, you can call your money manager or your benefits manager, call your benefits manager to find out where your pension fund dollars are invested. Because I've seen cases where groups of people got together and they divested their money from the same thing happened. New York Daily News had the article from 2017. It was 2017, June 2017. See, a lot of people don't know this. Let's see here. Which okay, next city. There was one from, and Bloomberg picked it up also. New York Daily News. We have this. Bloomberg picked up the story as well. Let's look at this here. So this is part of understanding political self-defense. This is dealing with economic empowerment, but this deals with what I call redistributing the pain. April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King, in his last speech, I've been to the mountaintop, talked about redistributing the pain. Okay. And he said that he said that we have to always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal. We have to always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal. All right. So this is from, damn, they got more pop-ups. What the? All right. So New York City pension fund to back out of investments in private prisons. And they actually did this. And on Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton interviewed the comptroller about this. They actually did this. June 8th, 2017, New York Daily News. Okay. NYC pension fund to back out of investments in private prisons. New York City's pension system has become the first in the nation. And let me blow this up here. I want to make sure everybody sees this. New York City's pension system has become the first in the nation to fully divest from private prisons. Controller Scott Stringer will announce Thursday. So this already happened. This is from June 2017. The city has sold off about $48 million in stocks and bonds of 3 private prison companies, according to the comptroller's office, after a unanimous vote from the fund's trustees. The move comes after a scathing federal audit of private prison facilities last year, 2016, and after 8 immigrant detainees have died in the last fiscal year while in private immigration detention centers, which house 65% of immigration and customs enforcement detainees, according to Stringer's office. Quote, morally, the industry wants to turn back the clock on years of progress on criminal justice, and we can't sit idly by and watch that happen. Divesting is simply the right thing to do financially and morally. All right, so check out this article. Look at the one also from Bloomberg.com also, because they have an article. Different outlets cover this story. But this is an example of what I'm talking about. We have to stop financing our own dehumanization, and we have to redistribute the pain through targeted, sustained economic withdrawal. We have to be more cognizant of where our money is investing and stop financing our own dehumanization. Okay, let's continue here, because I don't want to be here much longer. I really don't want to be here much longer. Not that I don't like you all, but hell, it's been busy. Was it Friday, Saturday, Friday? One morning I got to bed at 5 a.m. Thursday going to Friday morning, got to bed at 5 a.m. Had to do 2 shows Friday. Ended up doing 2 shows Saturday, so I'm tired. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so we're going to I want to deal with some history here. We've talked about Charlotta Bass before. Charlotta Bass ran for vice president on the Communist Party ticket, and she was an African American woman who ran for president, who ran for vice president before Kamala Harris. Okay, a lot of people don't know this history. Let me see something here. Where is that from? Okay, so WashingtonPost.com had a really good article about this. Kamala Harris isn't the first Black woman to run for VP. Meet Charlotta Bass. So this article this was back in about August sometime. And News1.com also had a good article that dealt with women, African American women who paved the way for Kamala Harris. Okay, it was a good article from News1.com. A timeline of Black women politicians who paved the way for Kamala Harris historic VP run. A timeline of Black women politicians who paved the way for Kamala Harris historic VP run. And this article was originally from like August sometime, but updated November 7th. It's written by Sharon Austin, who's a political science professor. Sharon Austin for News1.com. And in the article, she says, as a political science professor, I address issues like these in my government and minority politics classes. Okay. And she started out talking about, she said, African Americans have endured many hurdles to political power in the United States, among them slavery, Jim Crow, and disenfranchisement. Black women in particular have hit barrier upon barrier. Women did not gain the right to vote in the U.S. until 1920, and even then, Black women among them still could not vote. Even then, Black women among them still could not vote in most of the South. In the 1960s, African American women helped organize the civil rights movement, but were kept out of leadership positions. There was a lot of sexism going on during the civil rights movement. I've talked about this before, and Dr. King was a sexist also. This is Representative John Lewis has talked about this. And this is one of the reasons why Ella Baker leaves the Southern Christian Leadership Conference that she helped co-found in 1957, along with Dr. King, because Dr. King did not believe that women belonged in leadership positions in the movement. And Ella Baker was passed over for a permanent leadership position in Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She held a temporary one, but she was passed over for a permanent one. There was a lot of sexism that took place because a lot of the civil rights movement was led by African American male Protestant ministers, pastors, things like this. And there's sexism in religion, in Protestant religion, in the church. There's sexism there, which is a reflection of the larger dominant white male culture. And it found its way into the civil rights movement also. So she says in the 1960s, Black women helped organize the civil rights movement, but were kept out of leadership positions. As a political science professor, I address issues like this in my government and minority politics classes, but I also teach my students that Black women have a history of political ambition and achievement. As the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. said in 1984 about the progress Black voters made last century, quote, hands that once picked cotton will now pick a president, end quote. Today, Black female mayors lead several of the United States' biggest cities, including Atlanta, Chicago, San Francisco. Black women are police chiefs, gubernatorial candidates, and in growing numbers, congresswomen. So she talks about Charlene Mitchell, who ran for president in 1968 for the Communist Party on the Communist Party ticket. In 1968, 38-year-old Charlene Mitchell of Ohio became the first Black woman to run for president as a communist. Like many other, now this was before Shirley Chisholm ran for president. Okay. Like many other African Americans born in the 1930s, Charlene Mitchell joined the Communist Party because of its emphasis on racial and gender equality. Black female communists fought Jim Crow, lynchings, and unfair labor practices for men and women of all races. Charlene Mitchell's presidential campaign, which focused on civil rights and poverty, was probably doomed from the start. In 1968, many states did not allow communists on the ballot. Media outlets from the Boston Globe to the Chicago Tribune also discussed Charlene Mitchell's unsuitability as a candidate because she was both African American and female. Charlene Mitchell received just 1,075 votes. Other independent African-American female presidential candidates included community organizer Margaret Wright, who ran on the People's Party ticket in 1976, Isabel Masters, a teacher who created her own third party called Looking Back and ran in 1984, 1992, and 2004, and teacher Monica Moorhead of the Workers' World Party ticket, who ran in 1996, 2000, and 2016. In 2008, the year President Barack Obama was elected president, Cynthia McKinney, a former U.S. representative from Georgia, was a nominee of the Green Party. Okay, so we talk about Shirley Chisholm, and she says these Black female presidential candidates were little known, but as the first African-American female member of Congress, Shirley Chisholm had years of experience in public office and a national reputation when she became the first African-American and the first woman to seek the Democratic presidential nomination in 1972. So we talk a lot about Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm helped pave the way. Charlotta Bass, who we're going to talk about here in a minute, helped pave the way for Kamala Harris. Charlene Mitchell helped pave the way. But Charlene Mitchell ran for president before Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm was the first Black woman to run for president, to seek the Democratic nomination. That was in 1972. Charlene Mitchell ran for president on the Communist Party ticket in 1968. Okay, so Shirley Chisholm got very little support also. She faced sexism and racism. Shirley Chisholm, who mostly paid for her campaign on her credit card, focused on civil rights and poverty. She became the target of vehement sexism. One New York Times article from June of 1972 described her appearance, the way she looked, her appearance as, quote, not beautiful. Her face is bony and angular. Her nose wide and flat. Her eyes small, almost to beadiness. Her neck and limbs scrawny. Her protruding teeth probably account in part for her noticeable lisp, end quote. This was an article from the New York Times in June of 1972. Now, Shirley Chisholm received little support from either African Americans or female voters and won not a single primary. The African-American women who followed in Shirley Chisholm's footsteps from Congress to the Democratic presidential primary include Illinois Senator Carol Moseley Braun and Senator Kamala Harris herself. And we know Senator Kamala Harris, she didn't have a lot of success running for president, but I think she made a huge impression on some people who even didn't see her as, who would not vote for her as president, but said, you know what, she would, maybe she may not win president this election, but we see her as a president in the future, but also she would be a good vice president as well, based upon all things considered. All right, check out the rest of this here, this article here from newsone.com, a timeline of Black women politicians who paved the way for Kamala Harris' historic VP run. A timeline of Black women politicians who paved the way for Kamala Harris' historic VP run. Okay, this is from newsone.com. All right, so check that out, and we'll see if we can pull up this cover here. All right, then I want to talk about Charlotta Bass. So, okay, and then also we have, you know, Stacey Abrams is getting a lot of praise as well, which she should. And they need to talk to Stacey Abrams about how to win these Georgia elections. Don't bring in a bunch of white consultants and things like this about how to win Georgia. No, you need to go talk to Stacey Abrams about how to win Georgia. Let's see here. Let's flip over this. We brought this up. Newsone.com. Okay. A timeline of Black women politicians who paved the way for Kamala Harris' historic VP run by Professor Sharon Alston, November 7th. It was updated November 7th, 2020. Originally from August. And let me see. They show you some pictures here. Okay, so this is Charlene Mitchell, who ran for president. Communist Party picked Charlene Mitchell to be its candidate for president in 1968. This is Charlene Mitchell. Then we have who is this? Okay, Isabel Masters. They show, okay, Cynthia McKinney. Okay, Petra Lindsay ran for president also, but Shirley Chisholm. Okay, so they show Shirley Chisholm as well. Ran for president in 1972. They even talked about Shirley Chisholm on Sanford and Son. All right. All right. So I want to talk about Charlotta Bass. There was, so face-to-faceafrica.com had this article dealing with Charlotta Bass. Back, I forgot when this was. We'll try to pull this up here. We're going to post a link to this article here from newsone.com. All right. So there was one about Charlotta Bass from Face to Face Africa. Charlotta Bass was the first Black woman to run for VP before Kamala Harris. Long before Kamala Harris was picked as the first Asian American and perhaps the first Black woman to run as vice president in America for a major political party, there was Charlotta Bass. Charlotta Bass was a newspaper publisher. And we're going to pull this up here. Charlotta Bass was a newspaper publisher And she was the first Black woman to run for national office as the vice presidential candidate for the Progressive Party in 1952. Progressive Party in 1952. And let's see here. Where's blackpast.org has a article dealing with Charlotta Bass also. But we're going to pull this one up here. face-to-faceafrica.com. All right. Charlotta Bass was the first Black woman to run for VP before Kamala Harris. This is from August 13th, 2020. It's a picture of Charlotta Bass. There's a picture of Charlotta Bass. And Charlotta Bass was she was an editor and publisher of the California Eagle Black newspaper, the California Eagle Black newspaper. Here's another picture of Charlotta Bass also. Born in February 1874 in Sumter, South Carolina, Charlotta Bass devoted her career to aggressively publicizing and combating racial inequality. She campaigned to end race-based job discrimination at the Los Angeles General Hospital, the Los Angeles Rapid Transit Company, the Southern Telephone Company, and the Boulder Dam Project. All right. And she also waged the campaign against the movie The Birth of a Nation as well. When the movie The Birth of a Nation came out in 1915, she, through her newspaper, organized the campaign against the movie The Birth of a Nation also. So Charlotta Bass, a newspaper publisher, was the first Black woman to run for national office as the vice presidential candidate for the Progressive Party in 1952. She campaigned with the slogan, "Win or lose, we win by raising the issues. Win or lose, we win by raising the issues." She said, quote, "This is a historic moment in American political life," Charlotta Bass told the crowd during her acceptance speech. "Historic for myself, for my people, for all women, for the first time in the history of this nation, a political party has chosen a Negro woman for the second highest office in the land." All right. Now, way before becoming the first to be nominated for vice president of the United States in 1912, Charlotta Bass, way before becoming the first to be nominated for vice president in the United States. In 1912, Charlotta Bass, who was a civil rights activist, became the first African-American woman to own and operate a newspaper in the United States. The first African-American woman to own and operate a newspaper in the United States in 1912. As an editor and publisher of the California Eagle, the oldest Black newspaper on the West Coast, Charlotta Bass used her position to fight segregation in housing and in schools. Now, she was born February 14th, 1874 in Sumter, South Carolina. She devoted her career to aggressively publicizing and combating racial equality. Now, according to the California Museum, during the 1920s, Charlotta Bass became co-president of the Los Angeles chapter of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, the UNIA. The UNIA, founded by Marcus Garvey in 1914 in Jamaica. And then he comes to the U.S. in 1916 and starts setting up chapters of the UNIA. All right. So according to the California Museum, during the 1920s, Bass became co-president of the Los Angeles chapter of the UNIA. She formed the Home Protective Association to fight against housing covenants that prevented people of color from buying homes, and helped found the Industrial Business Council, which fought discrimination in employment and encouraged African Americans to go into business. She married Joseph Bass, B-A-S-S, co-founder of the Topeka Plain Dealer, who worked as editor of the California Eagle. Together, the couple used the paper passionately to denounce D.W. Griffith's film, The Birth of a Nation, and also opposed the harsh treatment of black soldiers involved in a 1917 race riot in Houston, Texas. In 1925, the Ku Klux Klan unsuccessfully sued her newspaper for libel. In 1931, the Basses denounced the results of the Scottsboro Boys case. They were said to have also lent their support to A. Philip Randolph as he fought against discrimination in hiring for railroad jobs. A. Philip Randolph, president of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. She continued to manage the California Eagle on her own following her husband's death in 1934. The Republican Party chose Charlotta Bass as Western Regional Director for Wendell Willkie's presidential bid in 1940. 3 years later, she became the first African-American grand jury member for the Los Angeles County Court. And in 1945, she was chosen by city representatives as the people's candidate in an unsuccessful bid for a seat on the Los Angeles City Council. By the late 1940s, Charlotta Bass left the Republican Party to found the Progressive Party, which, according to her, was, quote, the only party in which there is any hope for civil rights. She campaigned heavily for Henry Wallace in his 1948 bid for the presidency. As the first African-American woman to run for vice president of the United States, Charlotta Bass called for civil rights, women's rights, and an end to the Korean War and peace with the Soviet Union, but she and her running mate lost the election by a wide margin. Okay. In 1960, Charlotta Bass published 40 years memoirs from the pages of a newspaper, which provides both a history of the California Eagle and personal reflections of her own career. She helped usher the idea of a black female candidate fully into the political mainstream. She died April 12, 1969 in Los Angeles. So when we talk about Senator Kamala Harris, we have to look at women who paved the way for her. And one of those crucial women was Charlotta Bass, who was the first black woman to run for vice president. And she ran in 1952 on the Progressive Party ticket. Okay, so check out that article from face-to-faceafrica.com. And then there was a really good article from Washington Post. We talked about this back when this came out. Kamala Harris isn't the first black woman to run for VP. Meet Charlotta Bass. This is from Washington Post, and it's a good article. It's a little more extensive, also, and they talk about Charlotta Bass criticizing the Ku Klux Klan in the California Eagles pages. She criticized the Ku Klux Klan, denounced the Hollywood production The Birth of a Nation, and endorsed female candidates in local races. Women had already won the vote in California by 1911, but Charlotta Bass kept thousands of readers informed on the national women's suffrage movement. All right, so check out that article also. How's everybody doing? Okay, lastly, I want what time is it? We'll talk about this briefly tonight. We're going to deal with the rest of this tomorrow night on our Monday night show. November 3rd, 1874, you had the Eufaula, Alabama massacre in Alabama. And this was on Election Day in Alabama. Okay. Zen Project. We talked about this. EJI.org, Equal Justice Initiative, has an article dealing with this. So on November 3rd, on my November 3rd show, and that was Election Day 2020, we talked about this. But since the election has taken place and everything, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this again. We know November 2nd, 2020 was the 100th anniversary of the Appoint massacre of 1920 in Appoint, Florida, where at least 50 African Americans were killed, and this was on Election Day in November 3rd, 1920. And many of them were killed because they were trying to vote, and there was repercussions from that. And the day before Election Day in 1920, the Ku Klux Klan came through the black community in Accoy, Florida. They came through the community and told them, don't go vote. If you go vote, there's going to be violence, there's going to be problems, there'll be consequences and repercussions. All right. Now, we look at this one here, November 3rd, 1874. And this comes from the Zen Project. And we'll talk some more about this more extensively on our Monday night show. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Share, follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. And on my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube. Okay. And be sure to turn on live notifications so you know when we go live on Facebook and YouTube. You can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show. Okay. And those on YouTube, if you want to donate, if you could donate through Cash App, that's better than donating through YouTube, because when you donate through YouTube's platform, they take 1/3 of the payment. Okay. If you donate through Cash App, they don't do that. All right. So just so you know, if you donate through YouTube, if that's the only way you can do it, okay, I understand. But just so you know, if you donate through YouTube, they take 1/3 of that payment. Let me see here. Okay. Let me post this. And then African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. And you can email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Okay, so November 3rd, 1874, the White League attacks black voters. The White League attacks black voters. This comes from Zen Project, Zen Education Project. On November 3rd, 1874, deadly election riots took place in Barber County, Alabama. The White League, which was a paramilitary group affiliated with the Democratic Party, attacked. Now, this was long before the party realignment. This is during Reconstruction. Which is 1865 to 1877. Okay. And this is right after slavery ends. So this is long before the party realignment takes place, where the Southern segregationist Democrats, most of them leave the Democratic Party, go to the Republican Party, where a lot of them still are today. And that party realignment begins in 1928 with the Lily White movement. That party realignment begins in 1928 with the Lily White movement of 1928, which was an initiative to get Herbert Hoover elected as president for the Republican Party and to push African Americans out of the Republican Party by ignoring our issues, ignoring the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And they employed a Southern strategy. To appeal to Southern segregationist Democrats in 5 former Confederate states. This is known as the Lily White movement of 1928. And this was going to push African Americans out of the Republican Party. Then we start slowly going over to the Democratic Party. So when I hear people talk about the Democrat Party, I can listen to people and tell when they don't know what the hell they're talking about politics and history. Because when I keep people talking about Democrats this, Democrats that, Democrats this, and you don't talk about what Republicans are doing in office right now, and you don't talk about the Compromise of 1877, which ended Reconstruction. So, as I talked about on Roland's show on November 7th, his Saturday, the special edition Saturday, November 7th, 1876, 2 years after this November 3rd, 1874 attack. November 7th, 1876 was Election Day in the U.S. Rutherford B. Hayes, the Republican candidate for president, and I talked about this on Roland's show, he did not have enough electoral college votes to become president-elect. This leads to the Compromise of 1877. So History.com has this history fact that was in their email newsletter that came out November 7th, 2020. Dealing with this day in history. And this deals with stealing the presidency. November 7th, 1876, a little before midnight on election night, the Republican candidate Rutherford B. Hayes admits defeat and goes to bed. The Democratic candidate Samuel J. Tilden has swept the Electoral College, and by morning, he will almost certainly have the votes he needs to win the presidency. But overnight, the Republicans managed to change their fate and go on to steal the election. How did a one-legged Civil War veteran, a handful of telegrams, and some of the filthiest politics in American history flip an election? And how did Rutherford B. Hayes' fateful compromise with the Democrats set back suffrage for over a century? So this was known as the Compromise of 1877, where the Republicans agreed to remove the Union troops out of the South that were protecting the rights of African Americans to a certain extent. In exchange for that, Democrats let Rutherford B. Hayes, the Republican candidate, become president. This is known as the Compromise of 1877, which ends Reconstruction. Okay? So when I hear people talk about, oh, black people used to be Democrats, why don't you talk about the Compromise of 1877? I just find that very interesting. Why don't you talk about the Lily White movement in 1928 and how Republicans pushed us out of the Republican Party? All right. So back to November 3rd, 1874, White League attacks black voters. More than 1,000 African Americans were driven away from the voting polls due to the violence of this white supremacist group, the White League. Okay. It wasn't just the Ku Klux Klan. The White League, the Black Legion, the Red Shirts. Okay. You had a lot of domestic terrorist organizations. As explained on the Encyclopedia of Alabama website, on Election Day Eve, there may have been as many as 1,000 or more African-American men from Barber County camping out on the outskirts of Eufaula, Eufaula. I think that's how you pronounce it, Eufaula, Alabama. Accounts citing figures vary. In addition, persistent but false rumors of an invasion of the city circulated within the white community. In addition, persistent but false rumors of an invasion of the city circulated within the white community. Republican politicians and officials were thrown out of office. The White League did not count the votes cast for Republican candidates, and the Democrats were declared as winners of the 1874 elections. Similar events took place in Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, and South Carolina. These riots, state-sanctioned violence, voter suppression, and Democratic Party-controlled government signaled an end to Reconstruction. Okay, so it's moving towards that. Is really going to happen with the Compromise of 1877. So they have a link here to election riots of 1874. This is from the Zen Education Project. They have a link to election riots from 1874. And then also we know that EJI.org, Equal Justice Initiative, and we posted this article back November 3rd, 1874, and today. They have an article on this. November 3rd, 1874, white mob wages deadly violence against black community seeking to vote. On Election Day, November 3rd, 1874, local white residents in Eufaula, Alabama, determined to regain political dominance in the county that they had lost during Reconstruction, used terror and intimidation to suppress African-American votes, ultimately waging a violent, deadly massacre. As the 1874 election neared, white employers openly fired any African-American workers who intended to vote for Elias Keels, Keils, a white candidate who supported the aims of Reconstruction for the position of city court judge. Okay, so you had white employers who openly fired African American workers who intended to vote for Elias Keels. False rumors spread that African American residents planned to violently drive white voters from the polls, and white residents began stockpiling guns near Eufaula, Alabama polling sites. Judge Keels, Elias Keels, tried to notify state and federal officials of the danger, but Alabama's attorney general rebuffed the warning, and federal troops stationed in Eufaula, Alabama refused to intervene. Despite the risk, hundreds of African American men marched to the downtown Eufaula polling site on November 3rd, 1874. Some African American voters were immediately arrested and jailed on fraud accusations. Around noon on November 3rd, 1874, several white men forced an African American man into an alley and threatened to arrest him if he did not vote against civil rights. As witnesses protested, a single gunshot was fired by an unknown individual, harming no one. Soon afterward, a large mob of white men retrieved the stockpile guns stored nearby and fired indiscriminately into the crowd of mostly unarmed African American voters. Within minutes, 400 shots had been fired, killing at least 6 African Americans and possibly many more based on some estimates. As many as 80 additional African Americans were left injured. Many survivors fled, including an estimated 500 African Americans who had not yet voted. Many survivors fled, including an estimated 500 African Americans who had not yet voted. Later that day, a white mob attacked another county polling station in Spring Hill, Alabama, where Judge Elias Keels was the election supervisor. The mob destroyed the ballot box, burned the ballots inside, and killed Judge Elias Keels' teenage son, Willie Keels. Although the identities of many white perpetrators of the massacre were known, no white person was ever convicted. Instead, an African American man named Hilliard Miles, Hilliard, Hilliard, Miles, Miles, was convicted and imprisoned for perjury after identifying members of the white mob. Decades later, Braxton Bragg Comer, Comer, whom Mr. Miles, Hilliard Miles, had named as a perpetrator of the massacre, was elected governor of Alabama. So Hilliard Miles named Braxton Bragg Comer as one of the perpetrators of the massacre. Hilliard Miles gets convicted and imprisoned for perjury, and Braxton Bragg Comer goes on to become the governor of Alabama. Sounds about white. The Eufaula Massacre and its aftermath showed African American residents that exercising their new legal rights, particularly by voting, made them targets for deadly attacks, and that they could not depend on authorities for protection. The result was mass voter suppression. While 1,200 African American Eufaula, Alabama residents voted in the 1874 election, only 10 African American residents in Eufaula, Alabama cast ballots in the 1876 election, while 1,200 cast ballots in the 1874 election who lived in Eufaula, Alabama. Only 10 African Americans cast ballots in the 1876 election, which was a presidential election, who lived in Eufaula, Alabama. That legacy remains. Today, the population of Barber County is nearly 50% African American, but white officials hold 8 of 12 elected county positions. But in the county is 50% African American. In 2016, the county had the highest voter purge rate in the United States. If our vote did not matter, why do people work so hard to keep us from voting? Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So this deals with the Election Day Massacre, November 3rd, 1874 in Eufaula, Alabama. Okay, check this out at EJI.org, Equal Justice Initiative, but also as well the Zen Project, Zen ED Project, ZenEdProject.org, November 3rd, 1874. White League attacks black voters. White League attacks black voters. All right, so hey, we're gonna get out of here. Everybody follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. You can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show, paypal.me / the AHN Show. Okay. And at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, click on the yellow donate button. So that really helps us keep broadcasting our show. We're on 6 days a week now instead of 1 day a week. We're on 6 days a week. So that helps finance the show, keep broadcasting, keep doing the research, stay on the air. All my DVD lectures are available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And we also have my presentation, 6 Principles of Political Self-Defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. And that is in a 6 DVD bundle pack. You can get in the bundle packs a little cheaper. It's a 6 DVD bundle pack, Black Migration 1619 to 2019. And that's on sale, $50. We'll post a link here. For that, yeah, 6 DVD bundle pack. Yeah, that's on sale, $50. Black Migration 1619 to 2019, which includes 6 Principles of Political Self-Defense. Includes a presentation I did dealing with the theme of African American History Month that year, 2019, which was 400th year anniversary, 1619. I deal with Black migrations. A number of different things in that presentation. Okay. All right. So we're going to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with, based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. Thought about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now, it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you Monday night. We're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. And Sundays, we're on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace.